The Weekend UpNate. The Weekend UpNate. Your weekly recap of news, current events, and trending stories. Let's do this. The Weekend UpNate with your host, Nate Armbruster.
Hello and welcome to episode 58 of Weekend UpNate, and look who's on time this week. That's right, it's me. I bet you guys weren't even expecting to see a new episode published on time, but, can I get a round of applause, please? Thank you. I hope you're clapping in your car or wherever you're listening. I hope you had a great weekend. Mine was all right. I did a lot of chores, and it's funny to think when you're a kid, chores are the worst thing ever. Like, I got to clean my room, I got to do whatever. Now it's like the most satisfying feeling to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't look forward to it really, but the feeling you get after, like cleaning your room, just cleaning everything, there's no more dust. I washed all my sheets, did the laundry, everything. I vacuumed, I swept. That's like a perfect Sunday to me. The feeling you get after everything's like clean is one of the best feelings ever, in my opinion. It's just one of those days where it's like, the weather's nice, you crack the windows a little bit, you get some fresh air in the house, you eat a portion of a pot cookie your friend left at the apartment. I'm really risking it today, folks. Like, a friend of mine came over a few nights ago, and he was like, hey, I made a bunch of pot cookies, and wanted to know if you wanted any. And I said, sure, just leave them on the counter. And so I'm cleaning, right? And I'm going through everything, I'm putting things away. And I look at this little dish with foil on it. I'm like, what's in here? And that's right. It's definitely, it's homemade, okay? And I don't know this guy to be a baker per se, so I don't know if he measured right. So I'm always skeptical of this stuff because I'm not trying to, fall asleep. I just need a little something to make these chores a little more fun, Anyway, also, so this weekend, a friend of ours have a daughter that just turned 2, and we went out to their birthday party this weekend. So this is what's funny to me. It's having funny. I don't know. I don't know if it's anything. However, I've been thinking about this a lot because I'm at that age now where a lot of my friends are starting to have kids of their own, right? And it's just a part of life you gotta embrace, I think, because, it's fun to joke about how man, it just seemed like yesterday. I could drink all day and wake up and keep drinking, go have fun, do wild stuff. And the truth is, I never did any of that to begin with. I mean, it was always nice to be able to, but that was never I never did that kind of stuff. I've had my share of fun, but even then, it's nothing compared to, I like to go out and do fun stuff. But these days, I prefer, it's like the stereotype of getting just older, right? I hate loud bars now. I prefer, I don't go out. If I leave the house, I'm doing a show or I'm going to a 2-year-old's birthday party. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to go to a club. I would never step foot in one, to be honest with you. What's the point? I'm literally... And 30 is not even that old, but it feels like when you're in a situation, because I have been with people who want to go do something fun, right? They're like, we should go to another bar. And I'm like, no. And then it ends up being some young, cool hangout, right? Where all the cool kids go. And I show up in my cargo pants and, all right, I'm kidding. I don't wear cargo pants. But my point is I just don't fit in. It's not my scene. If you can make it work, good for you if you're doing that kind of stuff. But I'm just noticing now how I'm, you always think you're not going to enjoy those times, when you go, man, we're getting older, kids are starting to show up, and I actually look forward to this now. I used to kind of hesitate, embracing it, but now I'm you know what, this is nice. We can go out there, we'll go out to the suburbs, right? And see all of our other friends who have kids. We literally stopped at 3 locations, all of them with a different child, as the star of the show. It's there's a birthday, one's a newborn. Everybody's so happy. It's nice. Now I'm starting to realize that the only time this is actually a bummer is when you fight it, right? when people fight getting old, they start to wear like cool clothes the older they get. And you're like, man, you look like a stepdad that's trying to like impress their stepson or daughter. You know what I mean? But the activities change, So we went out to this 2-year-old's birthday party, which started at 2, right? To like be there at 2. It'll be 3 hours max. And everybody gets kicked out. Everybody leaves. And then you go home. And you're in bed by, 10:30 on a Friday. That's kind of nice. And don't get me wrong, if you want to go out and have another drink or have a drink after that, which this is funny, by the way, like I'm realizing, until I have kids of my own, I'm going to be the fun Uncle Nate, right? Or whatever the hell you want to call it. Fun is a stretch. It's easy to impress a kid, right? Everything's new to them. So they're like, wow, I've never seen, a Fisher-Price T-ball set, but watching them figure out how to use it is just hilarious because they don't know how to swing a bat yet, so you got to go show them. And then you're the guy, your parents' friend Nate, who's like, I'll show you how to do this, kid, and then you just wind up and break a window. That's my role in these kids' lives, right? But it's fun. It's kind of like, your hangs just change. When you see your friends, you're just, you're hanging out earlier and for less, and you don't get as drunk, So my advice to you is, if you're about my age, just embrace it. It's not good. It's not bad. It'll be fun if you let it. Now it's when you fight it is when it gets a little sad. It's like watching a guy getting, hair plugs, where it's like, dude, just go bald. It's so much. It looks so much better than watching the guy who clearly is insecure about it and fighting it, and he's trying everything. Just let it happen, man. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble. Oh, and some fun news. This is kind of fun. So I think I mentioned this last week. I stopped listening to myself, I don't mean my podcast. I mean, I just don't listen to what I say. So hopefully hopefully everything is making sense. So I recorded that album, right? And it came out a few weeks ago. And the thing is, I also filmed it. So it was like a whole special was what I had in mind. And so that's now finished, and it'll be up on YouTube this coming Thursday. And it'll be up there until indefinitely, or until I decide I don't like it and I take it down or something. But it'll be free to watch. It's like 46 minutes, I think. So it's like a nice full set, and it's completely free. You can stream it. You can put it up on, if you have Apple TV or Roku, you can just use the YouTube app. So if you want to feel like it's you're watching it on TV, or you can watch it on your phone on the bus if you want. You can watch it anywhere that you can get YouTube. And that link will be on all my social media, and I'll put it down in the description once it's out. And I would appreciate it if you watched it. If you, if you already listened to it, it's got a little bit of a different format set than the audio, right? So I cut some stuff out that I didn't think would work well without the visual, or just some silly crowd moments that I just didn't think was good enough for the album, So I left some stuff in. It'll be a little different than what you heard if you already listened. So at least gives you that to look forward to. And if you don't feel like watching it, just hit play and, throw it on mute while you work. That's totally cool too. It still counts. It helps the algorithm is what I'm trying to say. So yes, if you can look out for that, that would be great. I appreciate it. Also, if you happen to be listening to this the week this is released, I'll be at a comedy club called One Night Stands, and that is the name Stan, okay? Because the owner is named Stan. He's a great guy. It's a great club, too. It's in Waterford, Michigan. So if you're out in that area, I would love to see you. I'm working with this guy, Mike Palisak, who's a great comedian, pretty famous and well-known these days. Hit him up on Instagram. He's got a big following. And a funny story about Mike is he is pretty successful in the comedy world too. Like he may not be like a household name yet, but I mean, from the start, he was always very funny, and he was always doing, like, he got every break you want as a comedian, right? And it was so well deserved, by the way. This isn't me saying he shouldn't. He kind of took off right away. And pretty quickly, it seems like he was on like all the late night shows. He was done the Tonight Show. He did Conan, all the stuff, Comedy Central specials and all that. And one day I was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. There's a comedy club there. And I don't think it's there anymore, but in case anybody was curious. But I was at this club, and I was really early on. I maybe shouldn't have been booked that weekend. I probably wasn't as ready to do it, because it was like I was doing a longer set. I was featuring, which is like the opening spot, and you do like 30 minutes. And, you want them to be able, the opening act to do like 30 minutes and have it nice and fun, like ready to go. You don't want them, you want them to be tight and funny. So I wasn't quite there yet. But I got the gig and I was so excited. It was like a big deal for me and it was so much fun. But I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs because it's a little basement comedy club, and I see Mike Palisak walk in, and in my head I'm like, holy hell, that's Mike Palisak, this guy's hilarious. And he walks up to me and he introduced himself and he goes, hey, do you mind if I do a guest set? And that's like, if a comic's in town and they do like 5 minutes on the show or something, like just a short set. And I was like, sure. I go, why are you in? Well, first of all, this isn't even my decision because I don't even know. This is my first time here. I don't even know who the manager is, And I go, of course. I mean, I'm fine with it. Just ask the manager. I don't see why they wouldn't let you. And this was like a week after he did the Tonight Show or something like that. So I knew who he was. And the thing is, someone who has just done the Tonight Show, they have like a perfect 5-minute set. They can do it forwards and backwards in their sleep, and it's the funniest, tightest set. And coming off of that, it's still fresh in the mind. So he's like, this is what I just felt like such a fraud this weekend because he of course he gets to do the set, and then he goes up right before me and he does his perfect 5 minutes. I mean, it is funny. It is perfect. And the guy, he's like the special guest on the show, like to the crowd, they're like, who the hell is this guy? This guy's hilarious. And then they introduce me and it's like, I don't know, this guy's from Detroit or something. Because I'm not really bringing anything to the table. And then I go up and I bomb miserably. And then, that's just like my favorite memory is having to follow somebody who is clearly, miles ahead of you in what they do. And so I'm excited to tell him that story this weekend and remind him about it. But yes, he's very funny. If you're around the Detroit area, you want to come out to a show, that'd be great. And I'll be in Myrtle Beach the week after that. So how about it? I'm hitting the road. All right, so what do you say we get to some strange news? It's not even that strange, just odd news story. It's like, it's almost like, why is this even news? Is really kind of the angle I'm going for here. Like, what? I can't believe this made the news, but it's more fun to talk about than how we're all going to be drinking acid water in the near future. The first thing I want to talk about, and is it news? I don't know. But have you guys seen Cocaine Bear yet? If you haven't, if you don't know what it's about, it's based on a true story about a bear that eats a bunch of cocaine and goes crazy. And it's the most ridiculous movie. And people, this is what I hate about anything, the internet, I guess, is the movie's called Cocaine Bear. Now, is it going to be as good as The Godfather when it comes to, cinema? Probably not. It's probably not going to rank up there with the best films ever made. I think you can tell that by the title. So why even get worked up about it, right? Now, the fact that the budget was like $30 million or something, and the fact that it made like $23 million, I think, something like that. I mean, more than half the budget, right? In the first weekend is telling, okay? And I kind of want to go see it, mainly to, see just to see what it's all about, right? It just sounds ridiculous. And like, what am I supposed to like? Marvel movies? Like, sure, I would love to watch something maybe a little, maybe it's not my type of movie, but this kind of bizarre shit, I would rather watch this than another Spider-Man or another Batman. Okay, so I think you should stop hating on it and you should go see it. And the reason I think this is wild is because a bear at the St. Louis Zoo has escaped again. Okay, it broke out twice. This is the second time. Okay, now I don't know how you feel about zoos. A lot of people don't like them, and for good reasons, right? It's kind of shitty to treat, like there shouldn't be a polar bear in Illinois. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird to make them live here. I feel like it's probably miserable. for a lot of these animals, right? But that being said, I'm sure most of these places do so in a humane way, or as humane as possible to treat these animals right. Now, I don't even know where I would start to wrangle up a bear. I mean, I think you got to tranquilize it, right? You got to like knock it out so it doesn't go crazy. It's not like when your dog gets out of the yard and you got to chase it down the street and, play dead and get it to come over to you. And you know what I mean? It's a bear. So this is the second time this bear's broken out. And like, how bad of a zoo do you have to be to let this happen again? St. Louis Zoo officials say they're working to find a way to keep an Andean bear named Ben inside his enclosure after he escaped Thursday for the second time this month. Okay, first of all, they named the bear Ben. Okay, could you have a less interesting of a name for a bear? Now, I don't want to find out after saying this that it's named after some brilliant scientist who somehow revolutionized life for bears. This guy probably had a great life's work, but where do you come up with the name Ben? I feel like a zoo animal, a bear they should be named the way we name cats, like Nacho. You know what I mean? You got to have a goofy name for a bear, in my opinion. And this was twice in a month. And the fact that this coincides with Cocaine Bear, the movie, has me asking a lot of questions. Okay? The bear was outside for less than an hour and was found only 100 feet away from his habitat, zoo officials said. The 4-year-old bear, who weighs about 300 pounds, was tranquilized and returned to the enclosure. 4 years old, weighs 300 pounds. That's how much I weighed when I was 4. So he escaped while they were open, by the way. Visitors and zoo staff were kept inside buildings during Ben's escape. That's wild. Okay, that's the kind of shit I want to happen at the zoo. I think we should level the playing field. If you're going to go to the zoo, animals should be allowed to roam freely, and whoever makes it, makes it. I think that's fair. I think that way it's like, okay, we're allowed to have all these animals in the city if we're willing to, level the playing field a bit. That's all. Think of it like running with the bulls. They do that every year, and it's like, how about we go to the zoo and there's just a bear roaming around? I just want to know what they got to do to keep this bear from escaping again. Okay, because twice in a month, what did you do differently? Did you try anything else? Maybe park a bus in front of the door or something? Part of me thinks he's in on the whole promotion for the movie Cocaine Bear. Which, by the way, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it turns out in the movie, the bear got into some cocaine that had some fentanyl in it, so he didn't make it. All right, that's not too harsh. That's just an accurate joke about the whole opioid epidemic going on, huh? That's called a topical joke in a topical podcast. I just want to know what it was like for those people at the zoo when the bear broke out. Like, how do you pass that info along to everybody? Because, these days in the United States, when you're forced to go inside and go hide, it's usually from an active shooter of something. It's usually another person causing the mayhem. But if you're at the zoo and they're like, hey, there's an active bear alert. Okay, what do? I tell you what you do is you get in front of a bunch of people. That bear comes running at you. It's like that old standard, you just got to run faster than the next slowest guy. And if you can run faster than 10 people, you'll be just fine. So that's my advice for you if you're ever in a situation where you have to get away from a bear. Hopefully you're around a bunch of slow people. And if you're in the Midwest, you're probably fine. You could probably run faster than at least 90% of the people at the zoo. So go check out Cocaine Bear is what I'm trying to say. And look out for my special on YouTube this coming Thursday. Hit subscribe on whatever app you're listening to. And come back next week for another brand new edition of Weekend UpNate.
You've been listening to the Weekend UpNate with Nate Armbruster. And you liked it, didn't you? If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Weekend UpNate. Bye-bye.